Okay, so what we're doing today is emergency feeding. I've got a hive that's running out of stores, and this is drawn comb. There's a little bit of honey on this frame. I'm still debating on whether or not to give it to them. This came out of another hive that did not winter over very well because it did not have sufficient stores nor sufficient numbers to make it. So what I'm doing is kind of mimicking where they would store honey up in the upper corners here, and I'm taking syrup, 2-to-1 sugar to water ratio. I've got a couple of holes, big holes in the lid, and sugar syrup 2-to-1, and I'm just going to drizzle it in. Some of it's dripping out the bottom side, which is why I have a frame underneath. But hold it at a slight angle and maybe it'll roll down. And you can feel the weight increase as you're doing this. I've already done one frame. Now I've got a pretty good hive that just doesn't have sufficient stores. And they do have a queen. They've got good enough numbers. They're 5 frames in a deep covering number of bees. So pretty good. And this sugar syrup will help them finish out, I think, this winter into spring. I think we'll end up with an early spring here in Alabama because it is 75 degrees yesterday. Today it is just about to break 70. It'll get to 73 today as a high. So some of the sugar is dripping off into my honey frame below, but that's fine, that's why it's there. And I've put a quart in the corners of 2 deep frames on both sides. Actually, this is the 3rd side. The other one hasn't got that much yet. And I'll let it rest so that they'll even out a little bit. I can see that I've got more and it's overflowing on several, but you know, stand it up on its side and it'll trickle down and fill in the hole below it, the cell below it. You might be able to see it kind of trickling down there. If not, I'll get a little bit on my table, which is fine. Kind of looks like uncapped nectar. They'll know what to do with that. So I'll put this one in there. I'm going to stand this up on its end. Get my other one, check it. You can see it shining just a little bit. It's not as heavy. Oh, I actually did do the other side as well. So I've got honey on both sides on this one. I think I'll finish drizzling some more in on this one. Got more room here. Not honey, this is sugar water, I apologize. And I'll go take out a couple of frames that don't have anything on it, not even drawn comb, because this is a swarm that I caught trying to sneak out of one box and decided I would manually move them, which worked out really well. Alright, that's probably all I'm going to get out of that without taking the lid off, so I'll take the lid off. The nice thing about 2-to-1 syrup is it'll stay in those cells, even upside down. That's about all I'm going to get today. That'll work. This has got some weight to it. There, there's about a pint of sugar syrup in each one. That one on that side. On that side. I'll set that up to where it can drain down. Hopefully not tumble over. Give it just a little bit of a backdrop here. If you have cats or dogs that can get up this high, you might want not let them get up and hang out behind your frames. Cats obviously like to rub on things. I don't know if they would take a gander at trying to rub on these or not. Preferably on the not side. And this one's got plenty there, and it's slowly making its way down the frame as well. And your hands get sticky when you're doing this, but you know it's worth it. You put the feed right where the bees are, and they can actually, cluster on those two frames in different sides where the syrup is not. And you fill the whole board up, and you're creating a false honey barrier that the queen won't cross. So you kind of lock her in on one side. Usually the honey barrier is like a whole enclosure. This is not meant to be like this. I still hadn't decided what I'm going to do with this. I may just go ahead and give them this, but it also presents an opportunity for swarm capture in the spring. So I think I'm going to take these two honey frames and put them back in the freezer to keep anything from munching on them. Maybe tilt these towards each other just a hair to keep them from falling over. Even better. Nope, that is not cooperating. Alright, so we'll just go for the upright. Something to help reinforce them without falling over. I'm trying to let this sugar syrup drip down. Where it's too much that it doesn't want to go in the cell. And as you can see, it's moving at the speed of cold molasses or honey. But that will work. That will help feed them. Yep, time to put them in this hive. And they didn't like it yesterday. I'm sure they'll come back out after me today and say, we don't like you, we're going to sting you. And then, oddly enough, even though they sent out droves after me, none of them stung me. So, go figure. I did have pollen patty smeared on my hands, so perhaps they liked the smell of that and just went back into the hive. So, If you move too fast, they will come after you. If you move slowly, they're less likely to come out. And it's not dark today. It's a little bit overcast, but it is 70 degrees and it's time to give them something to eat. Okay, so here are my 2 frames that I've just added. There and there. I mean, they didn't waste too much time finding it when I put the first one in. They were actually on there already by the time I got in there. So they're buzzing me pretty good. They don't like me being here. They're not trying to sting me, they're just buzzing me. So this leaves them with, gives them rather, 7 frames that are drawn. 7.5. This one has a partial drawing. That one's empty. These 2 have sugar water on it. And I was mistaken. This one, 2 and 3 have honey on them. So I oriented the honey forward, which is, well, the sugar water forward, which is where they had their honey. So, and I'm going to close them back up now and let them go back to what they're doing. They are bringing in yellow pollen. And I've seen dandelions flowering in the yard, so they may be out foraging dandelions. Anyway, happy beekeeping. Keep them warm, keep them safe, keep them well fed.